Tour de France of survival indeed. 133 riders left out of the 198 that started. That's 65 lost. And remember what we were told at the beginning of the tour, that we can expect to lose 30 or 40 riders with each Tour de France. That was the nature of this tour and the particular pace of it. But the best survivors are Miguel Indurain and Claudio Capucci. They are on top. Indurain leading 1 minute 42 ahead of Capucci. Then comes Andrew Hampsten, 8 minutes 1 second. Pascal Linault, 9:16, and Gianni Bugno in the top 5 as well, 10 minutes 9 seconds. So the leaderboard was unchanged from yesterday, and this is how the Aussies looked after stage 15 when we went from Bourg-Boison to Saint-Etienne. And remember those good rides by the Aussies in the Onster team, Stephen Hodge and Neil Stevens. Well, Phil Liggett, his voice in much better form, I'm happy to say, rejoined us. Phil, we struggled on without you last couple of days, but so did the riders. Now, we did discuss the likelihood of losing riders at the beginning of the tour, but this is a lot of riders, isn't it?
Yeah, we would never normally expect so many riders to leave in the Tour de France, but that's a sign of a very hard race. It's running still at record speed, despite the fact we've now come through the Alps. And, you know, the riders who were hoping for a stage win find they haven't got the strength left to even leave the shelter of the big bunch.
OK, now, I don't dare suggest that Miguel Indurain has got this wrapped up. Although a lot of cynics would be saying that. But is it a two-horse race now with Capucci?
In theory, yes, of course it is, because Andy Hampsten is 8 minutes behind in 3rd place, and he wants to finish on the podium in Paris. But this is the last day now that Claudio Capucci can actually try to take time away from Indurain, because the advantage swings to Indurain on Friday when we ride the race's last time trial. So on this climb up here today, he's going to have to attack.
So he'll be attacking, but Indurain and Capucci will obviously try to just stay together.
I think so, but, you know, the Tour's a very difficult race, and the weather conditions are so bad today, the riders will be giving up as well. OK, Phil, thanks for today. Good luck with the commentary. OK, let's go through the course for you. It's going from Saint-Etienne to La Bourboule, 212 kilometres. There are 3 climbs in it, low category climbs, but, well, category 2, not too bad, and there are 2 sprints in it as well. Let's enjoy the race. Our commentator is Phil Liggett.
Laurent Jalabert this morning, now having to defend that lead he's got in the green jersey, and Johan Museo, the man who wants to take it from him. The first sprint today, after 32 kilometres, it made no difference. There was Girotto leading over Thierry Marie and Marc Sergeant, so no change at all in the green jersey competition, and the race heading towards the rain all of the time. The first climb at the Côte de Bellevue-Le Montague, that was a 3rd category climb at 75 kilometres. Richard Virenque still trying to make sure of a high finish in this competition, and Ronan Pensek, the rider who fell yesterday, and Virenque's teammate, taking 2nd place from Eddie Bowmans of the Panasonic.
And one rider in jovial mood this morning, no doubt because the Alps are now behind him, and he will finish his last Tour de France. Alan Piper, a very happy man today.
Hello. Just having a sardine sandwich. We've got an easy part today. I just went back and asked the director to make me this sandwich before the action starts. Sean Yates has just put his T-shirt on. So it must mean action. It looks like rain up here anyway. Things seem to be quietening down a little bit. The guys aren't so nervous today. Well, they were in the start. But we seem to be rolling to Paris. I think everybody knows today's the last dangerous day. After that, straight to the Champs-Élysées. Party Sunday night at the Mexican restaurant. I'll be dancing on the table with Khrushchev. He's going to bring his vodka.
We're looking now at the riders as they come back together. There has been a breakaway with Yellow Nidam in it and Dmitry Zhdanov. Up the road is Peter de Klerk, but we just caught a glimpse there of Jérôme Simon, who was racing past. And there he is. This race, in fact, there's been a breakaway on, which at one stage had over 5 minutes. They have now been caught up. We're looking here at Laurent Fignon. Just seconds ago, Laurent Fignon had a puncture, and the whole of the Gatorade team has waited for him.
Well, that was a bad time to puncture because it was at the back of the climb there, and the pressure at the front has caused a few splits, so Fignon just couldn't get right back into the race, and now his teammates are trying to pace him up there. There's a little group in front, but the main field is actually a lot further up the road, so Fignon's going to have a hard job getting back into the race.
Both Jalabert and Museo have equal properties as sprinters, but Laurent Jalabert is a much superior climber. On the road to Saint-Etienne, Jalabert wanted to kill two birds with one stone. Firstly, he wanted to win the stage and gain maximum points, as he did a few weeks ago in Brussels. That's why his team worked at the front of the race, chasing the two leaders. However, once on the climb, his teammate Neil Stevens kept the pressure so high that Museo, the green jersey holder, was left trailing. Once at the summit, Jalabert kept up the pace. They never caught the lone leader, Franco Chioccioli, but Jalabert's fourth place gave him enough points to take the lead again in the sprinters' competition.
Well, this has turned out to be an exciting end to what has been the first very routine day in the Tour de France, largely due to the heavy weather. The rain has been torrential. It's given us our problems too. I hope you can now hear our commentary well. But let's just to recap the situation of the day. There was three men who at one stage had a near 5.5-minute lead, and they were Dimitri Zhdanov of Panasonic, Jelle Nijdam of the Buckler team, and Peter de Klerk of Lotto. Nijdam refused to work, so Peter de Klerk broke clear when they came to this very climb here, which is the Col de la Croix-Moron. And once on the climb, it was Stephen Roche who launched the offensive, and that has brought this race to life once again. We're now looking down here on Jean-Francois Bernard and Miguel Indurain. Then third in line, Claudio Chiappucci. Then we have Andy Hampsten. The top three men, 1, 2, 3, in second, third and fourth position. Here they are. Second is Chiappucci, and if the camera drops back, thank you very much, there is Andy Hampsten, who says he wants to keep his third place all the way to Paris. Eric Breukink, and on the other side of the road there in the pink, Neil Stevens, because he wants the rider in the green jersey, Laurent Jalabert, to survive and take more points today away from Johan Museo of Belgium.
He really is riding excellently, Neil Stevens, in the last few days of this Tour de France. Laurent Jalabert looks quite happy there. I think he'd like to look back down the field a little way. The field is totally exploded to find out whether then the Belgian champion was there. But the world champion is definitely there, Gianni Bugno. After the hard times he had in the mountains this weekend, he seems to have come back a little bit to form, and he may well try and launch an attack on one of these next few days to try and get a top 3 place in Paris, because I'm sure that would help him save his Tour de France. He's based his whole year on this one event.
So we're coming up to the last kilometre now of the penultimate climb, the Col de la Croix-Moron. Stephen Roche has just on 50 seconds lead, and he is now on, well, he will be shortly, just a short descent of around about 8 kilometres, 5 miles, then a much steeper climb that will bring him up to the finishing line at La Bourboule. He comes through the village a couple of kilometres before the finish, and then he climbs up into the wooded area high above the village. It is an excellent ploy by the Carreras. They may not have the yellow jersey on their team, but because they have ridden this Tour de France so progressively, this is the team that is winning most of the prizes at the moment.
And as far as I'm concerned, they've been one of the most aggressive teams as well, because if in the first part of the Tour de France, if Claudio Chiappucci wasn't attacking, then Stephen Roche was. And if this doesn't work and Chiappucci can't attack behind, it would be wonderful for Stephen Roche to go on and win the stage, because he's been so close on so many occasions. He was up there in Valkenburg, then he was up there again on the stage to Saint-Gervais, and now he's pulling everything he can to try and get to the top of this climb and put pressure on the rest of the field.
Here is the situation at the finishing line. That is what the riders, and that is all we will see when the riders come up, and that is what Stephen Roche is racing to. 20 kilometres to go for Stephen Roche of Ireland, a former winner of the Tour de France, and now enjoying his freedom to tell us once again he is still one of the best bike riders in the world. That's where we are, 192 kilometres covered, as he goes under the banner of the Col de la Croix-Moron. And then he makes the descent and will face the last serious climb of this year's Tour de France. And the field making a much more cautious descent. And just like yesterday when Chioccioli took the benefit of the storm before the end, maybe Roche can survive this one better as well.
He may well do. He's got a good chance now that he's away alone. But behind, everybody now wants to try and attack. They've got over the last climb. There's one more climb to come, and the attack's coming thick and fast. There's our friend Perini, Giancarlo Perini. What a man. He really is become known to the Italian crowds. He wasn't so well known before the Tour de France, but this year they'll definitely think about him.
And so all of the riders now over the top of the penultimate climb, the Col de la Croix-Moron. It's the long chase down to the valley, and then the climb up to the finish, which is shrouded in mist at present.
And back to more racing in just a few moments. Well, as we mentioned earlier in the program, this is a Tour de France with a very high attrition rate. 133 riders are left out of the 198 that started the Tour, and among them are the 4 Australians. And one of them is Ironman Neil Stevens. Greg Walker spoke with Neil Stevens to examine what it takes for a rider to finish the toughest tour in the world.
At the start of this tour, Neil Stevens was a little-known Australian who rode in the shadows of Stephen Hodge for the Once team. But now, with just 5 days to go before Paris, he's on the verge of becoming the first Australian ever to complete the Tour of Italy, Spain and France, all in the 1 year. Now, in cycling terms, that's quite an achievement. Did you set out to do all 3?
No, not at all. My program this year was to ride the Tour of Italy, and then when my form was good at the start of the year, they put me in the Tour of Spain, and then we got to the start of the Tour. He rang me almost apologetically, and he said, "Neil, I'd like you to ride the Tour of France. You can tell me to go and jump in the lake if you like, but I'd like you to." And I said I'd go quite happily, and well, here I am.
Right from the start of the year were to try to win the white.
His selection may have been unexpected, but his performance so far is nothing short of outstanding. Courageous riding through the Alps, allowing teammate Laurent Jalabert to regain the green jersey, has made Neil Stevens a very popular and respected cyclist.
All this attention from television down to toddlers, how is it affecting you?
Well, I think living in the Basque Country, in the north of Spain, I get quite used to it. The attention that they give to the bike riders in Spain is unbelievable, and so that you more or less can become accustomed to it. Sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it boosts your morale to have so much attention, but other times it becomes a bit much, and you just want to get away from it. And I think that's what's good about the village here at the start of the Tour de France.
Even the best in the world consider the 28-year-old Australian a formidable competitor. For these are the men who know the dedication and commitment it takes to race day after day.
With all the work behind in the main field being done by Neil Stevens, who...
For the person at home, can you explain how much of a hurdle it is mentally and physically, and the comparison between the two, to stay on tour for so long?
Physically, it's okay. If you have no problems with your health, you can keep on going. The problem is if you get a cold in the middle of the tour, or if you get some sort of fevers or broken bones or anything. But mentally, it's just a matter of just going on and not letting it get on top of you, and not letting yourself get physically or mentally fatigued.
Did you have any doubt starting the Tour de France that your body could cope with it?
Yeah, well, after the first week, I was lost out the back on a couple of stages. On the stage going into Valkenburg, I lost 22 minutes, and I was feeling really down. But now we're in the last week, and I'm feeling better every day. So therefore, I think that yeah, the Champs-Élysées is in my sights.
Greg LeMond's retirement this week indicates just how grueling the tour is. Mental strength is just as vital as physical, and although Stevens doesn't have to endure the pressure placed on people like LeMond, he still must overcome the daily battle until the finish in Paris.
I think at the moment I should be able to finish the Tour de France. Our main objective at the moment is to keep Laurent Jalabert in the green jersey. Therefore, we'll have to do a lot of work, and no doubt I'll be finishing out the back a couple more times throughout the course of the next week. Our main objective is that, and if I can do that and finish in the Champs-Élysées, I'll be very happy.
Greg Walker with Neil Stevens, who's performing exceptionally well for his Onset team. Well, let's see how the Onset team is doing as we take you back to today's stage. Here again is Phil Liggett.
Well, welcome back. This is the situation. We're on the road today to La Bourboule. Stephen Roach is still ahead, but he's not by far. Somewhere around 30 seconds, the last time check, as we head down now towards the town itself of La Bourboule. And then we have just 5 kilometers climbing towards the finish, where the fog is now down to less than 50 meters.
And here is Roach up the climb, fighting with his body now, fighting with his bike, doing everything he can to get to the top of this climb first.
So the counter-attack's beginning now. Roach is 40 seconds ahead, and this is Yvon Le Danois, a newcomer to the Tour de France in the pro ranks, and enjoying his first Tour de France, and quite a tip for the future too. He pushes on here, trying to close down on Stephen Roach. He's yet to see him. The crowd is very, very big on this climb. We'll apologise to you for all of these picture breakups today, but to bring you any pictures at all, believe me, is a magnificent job by the authorities and the French television cameras here today. Le Danois here has left the Oncé team, who have been doing a lot of the chasing here, trying to keep this race together, because we haven't seen anything of Johan Museeuw in the last hour or so of the race. I think he may well have found himself off the back as we go through now with 4 kilometers to go. And Le Danois, he deserves a good high finish on the stage of this year's Tour de France. He's turned out to be quite a discovery. But each corner he comes round, he looks up, he doesn't see the following car of the yellow Mavic neutral service behind Stephen Roach. Roach could now well be going to a stage victory in the Tour de France. He's won stages in 1985 when he won on the Col d'Aubisque. He won a stage in 1987, and at 4 kilometers to go now, there's every chance that Roach is going to win a stage here, and he deserves that for sure.
Well, as they went through with 4 kilometers to go, Yvon Le Danois was 30 seconds behind Stephen Roach, but the main field is another 10 or 15 seconds behind, so it looks as if Stephen Roach is going to get it in the bag today.
Le Danois worried about the chase behind. I think they must be coming up, because the commissaire on the left of our picture, that's the race referee, is calling by everybody, and there they are. At 4 kilometers to go, they have pulled back Yvon Le Danois, but Roach stays clear. I'm sorry we can't show you the pictures of Stephen Roach, but I'm afraid it's because he is in very thick mist, as now we have Abelardo Rondon of the Gatorade team trying to get away now. So Roach continues to set the rhythm up the mountain, the last big climb in this year's Tour de France, and he's never looked over his shoulder once. It's everything or nothing today for the Irishman.
It really is, and the confirmation is still coming through on the radio. It is definitely 1 minute lead for Stephen Roach. He's got a little bit more than 1 kilometer to go, so he's going to be with us in about 2 minutes' time. There, in fact, I think in front of us now, it's difficult to see in the fog, but there is the last kilometer for Stephen Roach, 1K to go.
The final kilometre on the final steep climb of this year's Tour de France, and an Irishman is in the lead. Stephen Roach, twice a stage winner in the Tour de France, once a winner of the Tour. You can see how steep it is now. Stephen's legs almost locked up there for a moment. Well, a mixture of pain and pleasure on the face there of Roach, and I'm sorry we can't see it as clearly as we normally do on the stage of the Tour de France, because how we are managing to give you any pictures of the Tour today, it never ceases to amaze me, the ability of the French technicians on this race. Now we are waiting for Stephen Roach to come into our view. He's gone away. I must confess, I thought at first he was under orders to attack, to try and cause a diversion for Claudio Chiappucci, his team leader. But in effect, Chiappucci stayed alongside Indurain. It wouldn't surprise me if Chiappucci has said, I can't do it because I'm too closely marked. You make a go for it today, Stephen. Because they are the greatest of friends. Roach used to race on the same team as Chiappucci when Chiappucci was a simple domestique and a newcomer. Since then, Roach has done the rounds of the big sponsored teams. This year, he came back to the Carrera team. He won for Carrera for the Tour de France in 1987. He's come back to Carrera in 1992, and he's found the secret of success once again. Stephen Roach passes through in the mist in the manner he did in 1985 when he won the mountaintop finish on the Col d'Aubisque, stage 18A then of the Tour de France. And today, he is now coming home to the finish here too. And once again, stage 16, this time for Stephen Roach of Ireland, as he comes out of the mist in the worst possible conditions, but it makes no odds. We will remember this victory for sure as Stephen Roach, the Irishman who will consolidate his 9th overall position today in this race. And this will be absolute music for Stephen Roach. He will prove to everybody that he is not finished. He is still on great form. He is still one of the great riders of the Tour de France. Professional to the end. His hack goes on. He clutches his head, he doesn't believe it, and the weather conditions, well, we can't believe that either. 5 hours, 52 minutes today for a stage which should have been a lot bigger than that. But coming up to the line now, I think this is Vyacheslav Yekimov cutting through the mist as well, as he comes up into second place. And passing through, I think, will be Gonzalez of the class team. I hope I'm right, because I can't really see these riders. As Girotto has gone through, then the battle too for the yellow jersey is there. The green jersey was just ahead of them, so he will score well today, Laurent Jalabert. He will go further ahead in that competition. But just look at this. I just hope the judges can see numbers here to place all these riders on the line as they come through the finishing line. It looks to me like it might be Vyacheslav Yakimov. We'll wait until we see the results later on. And the yellow jersey is there in about 5th or 6th position. So Jalabert has gained even more points today.
Yes, Stephen Roach's day. Who can forget the wonderful reception he got in Dublin when, of course, he won the Tour de France back in 1987. He was the winner today by 46 seconds ahead of Vyacheslav Akimov, the Russian. John Unsaga Bombini was third, 50 seconds.